Hello everyone. In the last video, we saw how we can use shapes effectively. Let us talk about colors in this video. There is a website which is brandcolors.net, and brandcolors.net is essentially a collection of companies and brands from around the world, and it shows you the colors that they use. Let's take an example. I'm also keeping a screenshot in the link on the PowerPoint so that you have this for reference. And there we go. Let us say that you want to keep an interesting color as the background of the slide. So we would do a right click, go to Format Background, and then in the color option, we have a bunch of different colors with us. Of course, we can always go to More Colors, and then here we can choose any color that we want. But what we are going to do is to go to Custom, and then change our color model. Now this gives you RGB and HSL. The only thing is that this is not really that simple to understand, in the sense that hue, saturation and luminance is only something that a designer would work with. To keep it simpler, we won't use the RGB and the HSL. We are going to use the hex code. So let me come back to brandcolors.net. Let's pick one of the colors that we like. So maybe we want to take this particular shade of blue. So I click on it. The hex code has been copied. I can now come back. And then here in the hex code, I can simply paste it and then do an OK. And there we go. We have the color. Let us add a title as well. So insert text box, and let's call this my go-to-market strategy. If I want to use a different color here, we can now come back. But now here's the thing. How do you really know what color is a good contrast with the color that we have chosen? Now, of course, you can look at the other colors that the brand is using. For example, I can choose the green, come back, and then as we did before, we select more colors and we paste the hex code here. And here we go, we have the color. This is one way of doing it. But if you would like to do this with much more flexibility, then you can go to canva.com. Of course, there are many websites like this, but then I like the one which is there on Canva. And as you can see, Canva gives you a color wheel. And here what I can do is I can choose a color combination. For example, if I choose a complementary color and I say that my base color is the hex code that we originally had, it tells me that the complementary color is this. Of course, I can change that, so I can make it monochromatic. So I can now get different shades of the same color. So you notice that I can move it like this to get different shades. I can also make it analogous, so I get 3 of them now. I can get a triadic and a tetradic like that. It also explains how these colors work. Let's put a screenshot. On the PowerPoint. Here we go. And I'll put the link as well. Now, what you have on the website are other things as well. So you have a color palette generator. In fact, let me open all the four. So we have the palette generator, the palette ideas, the color wheel, and color meanings. The color palette generator allows you to upload any image of your choice. For example, I can upload an image that is there in my pictures, for example. Let's take one of these. So this is a dashboard that I've created on Tableau. And what I want to do is to create a PowerPoint which also uses the same colors that are there in this. And as you can see, without having to do much effort, I have now managed to extract the colors here. Of course, now you can copy the hex code, come back to PowerPoint, and then put it there. As simple as that. The other option is to use the color palettes that they have already given to you. So one option here would be to upload an image. Let me put this here. So this is the uploading. And the other option is that you can look at the color palettes that are available. Like this. Let's pick one of these. So I'm selecting this one, the summer splash. And it also gives me an image which uses this color palette. And then there are related combinations as well. With Canva, the advantage is that you can also browse templates that use this color palette. So I can go to browse. Right? And the color palette that I have chosen, it gives me different designs based on that color palette. Let me put a screenshot for this as well. Canva, as many of you would know, is a free website. It of course has a paid account as well, but even with the free ones, there's a lot of options that you have available. The color wheel we have already seen. And then of course you have the color meaning as well. Now this is more on the marketing side. So for example, if you are trying to figure out for a particular tone, what should be the color that is the most appropriate, you can just click on any one of these. For example, I can select the blue iris and it tells me that this is something which is a blue and a blue violet on the color wheel based on the Greek goddess of the rainbow. And then it gives me some background as to the specifications of the color, which is the technical detail behind it. And then it also gives you a sense of where all it can be used. So it tells you that it's for anchoring and meditative with a touch of magic. So let us say you're creating an application on meditation. This would probably be a good choice of the color. The other thing you can do is to look at the color palette of a company. Now, of course, we can do this from brand colors, but then brand colors would not have all the organizations. So I can just put in the name of, let us say KPMG, search for a palette. And if you do an image search, it tells me what is the palette that KPMG uses. As you can see, this everyone is the KPMG palette. Like this. Let's search for one more. So I'm searching for an EY palette. And I can see the EY palette here. And one final one, I'm looking at an Accenture palette. And we have an Accenture palette that comes here. Now let's make a shape and then try to experiment with the colors that we have. Let us say we have a square. And what I want to do here is I want to change the color. So we can go to shape fill, choose any one of the colors that are available. Or of course you can choose one from the hex code. One more option that you have is that if you already have an image with you, for example, let us say I have this image as a sample. We can also use the eyedropper tool, which is really simple. I can select the shape, go to shape format, select shape fill, select the eyedropper, and then wherever you put your eyedropper, it will detect the color being used there. For example, this is the green that we have, which is a 236, 244, 240 on the RGB. And then let's say you want the red, I can choose the red here like this. Super simple. The eyedropper is available across various points. So I have it on shape fill. I have this on shape outline. As a matter of fact, if you have written some text, you get an eyedropper even in the font color option. So you will find the eyedropper available across various points in the PowerPoint interface. As we had discussed earlier in the first module, when you read a lot of reports, that's a great way for you to try and see what colors can be used. Remember, while there are good practices that you should follow, it's also important to be creative. For example, there are certain cases where you want to be really formal and be very conscious of the colors that you choose. Maybe sometimes you want to be more creative and you want to do something different. So experimentation is very important. Taking the feedback from the client and the various stakeholders is also really important. Next, I want to talk about gradients. So let me come to my sample PowerPoint that we have, which is a collection of reports that we have seen before. And what I want to do here is to pick one of these. So maybe let's pick this one, right? Now, imagine you want to create something like this. So we will learn how to combine the shapes that we had done before along with this. So I'm going to copy this and then keep this as a sample. We won't create the entire thing, but then at least the basic skeleton. So insert, shapes, and then I'm going to make a shape that is the same proportion as the length, the height and the width of this rectangle. As you can see, I'm ensuring that it is the same proportion, so I can manually tweak it to make sure that it is exactly the same. Here we go. Next, I don't want an outline, so we can remove the outline. And I want to make 3 more of these. So this is the first one. Press Shift in the bottom right corner. So I'll increase the size just a little bit. Now I will press Ctrl and Shift to make a copy on the right like this. Drag and select both of them and then Ctrl and Shift to make 2 more copies. So the first one, shape fill, eyedropper, is going to be this black color that we have. In the next one more time, shape fill and eyedropper. And then we'll do the same thing 2 more times. And as you can see, we have managed to get the same set of colors. As far as the text is concerned, let's add that as well. So insert, text box, and I'm going to type the same thing. So retailers are taking a hard look at their footprint and deciding the role of each store moving forward. Let's make it bold. And let's keep the same. So I'm not completing the entire example, but you see the point, right? How you're now able to take a sample that is already given to you, and then you're able to make it your own. Of course, you can start with imitation, but then as you become more confident about what you're doing, you can keep on adding more points to it. One more tip, I have already mentioned this in the last video, but just to remind you, let's say we want to add 2 arrows as well. So I will insert an arrow. And let's change the color to gray and let's increase the weight of the outline. That looks a lot better. Let's make one more. I will rotate it. And let's keep it like this. Now, if you think about it, there are a lot of elements on the screen. And if you want to control them, it might become a little difficult. So the trick that you can use here is what I mentioned in the last video. Use the selection pane. So I can select any one of the shapes, and on shape format, we select the selection pane. And now you notice you have independent control over every one of these shapes. And here you can lock all of them, which means that now accidentally, I will not be able to move anything. Maybe the only one that we want to move is the text box. So we can select that and then unlock it. And now you notice you can move it freely. Doing these things is super important because it helps you save a lot of time, get the finesse that you want while you're working on a slide. And of course, the time that you save is going to help you spend that time on more important things like the analysis. The final example that I want to take is from an Accenture report. So let's search for Accenture Telecom and then PDF. Let us open one of these. Let's open a few others as well. All right, I think I like this one. Now, if you look at the background color of this particular shape, it's really interesting. So I'm going to take a screenshot. Come back to PowerPoint and paste it here. This is for my reference. So I'll start by going to Insert, Shapes, and I'll create a rectangle. Now we want the same colors that are there in Accenture. So first, let me remove the outline. Next, I will go to Shape Fill and then select Gradient and then go to More Gradients. Then using the pane on the right, we can select Gradient one more time. Now you notice that 4 gradient stops have been created. Even though just we need the one. So I'm going to select the second and delete. Let me do that one more time. Select and delete, and then select and delete. Now I will select the first gradient stop, and then using the eyedropper tool from here, we can simply select the color that we see here in the bottom left corner. And then on the second gradient stop, I will one more time choose eyedropper and choose the color that comes here. Now we just have to move it around a little bit. So if you look at the direction, I can choose any one of them. You can explore the different options, but I'm going to choose this one. And this is the effect that we get. Now see, if you say, hey, can we get exactly the same effect that's here? Maybe not. I'm sure they're not using PowerPoint to create something like this, but we are getting pretty close to it. And that is exactly what we want. So if I put some text on top of it, so let me make this white in color, make it center aligned, and here we go. I hope you see this looks really nice. And the fact that if you had tried to do this yourself, in the sense that come up with an idea yourself, it would have taken you a lot of time and you'll probably not get the quality that you can get by simply copying from what Accenture has done. And then copying doesn't mean you're copying it 100%. You're just taking ideas from it. Then of course you can add your own 2 cents to it as well. Let's just make this 40%. Like this. One website I would like to share with all of you is called Colors. So this is colors with a .co. I'll share the link here. This also is a fantastic website, has a bunch of different things in it. So you can see that we have palette generator. You can extract the palette from an image like we did with Canva. You have the contrast checker, the color picker. Again, there's so much. You can go and have a look at it. The one I want to show you now is the browse gradients, where I can browse these ready-made gradients that are available. And of course, you can freely download it. Plus, you can make changes to it as well. Then I also have this contrast checker. And this allows you to check for contrast because it's really important that the colors that you use should be really clear to the reader. So if you notice here, if I choose the text color as a light color, maybe something like this, you notice that the contrast is really bad. On the other hand, if I want to fix it, if I say click to fix, and I only want to fix the text color, so the background is fixed, I can't change that. Maybe it's a brand guideline, and I only want to fix the text color, then this is the text color that I should have, like this. One more time, if I am choosing a background color that is really dark, now I want to change the text color one more time, and it should give me something like this. Some other considerations that you should have is for checking your reports for color blindness. Now, I'm not really sure which one of the links should I share with you, but maybe you can just look at this one. I will share the link. So this is also really important because you have to realize that a large number of people might have some varying levels of color blindness. And it's really important that you factor that because you should not be using the type of colors in your report where it might hamper the readability. So this is a good way to maybe do a check with the users to try and see if they are able to read all the numbers here, because that will ensure that the way you want to present your final slide is perfectly articulated in the same manner to the audience as well.